Okay, so I put the new IC chip in there and it's working really good now, at least in terms of audio. Thing is, to get it to sound better or louder, I had to tweak around the cans there for the IF on the FM. And I just did it by ear, which you're not supposed to do. You're supposed to use like a sweep generator and like look at it with a scope and stuff. But for now, I'm just testing stuff and playing with it. And I actually have a friend that sent me a procedure that you can do just using a signal generator, which is good because I don't have a sweep generator or oscilloscope right now. So I just tweaked it by ear until it sounded good. And yeah, it sounds decent right now. And so the thing is though that the new IC chip is overheating. It's not super hot, but it's warm, and it shouldn't be doing that. VCC on it is fine. There's nothing crazy in terms of voltages or anything. So I don't know what the deal with it is. And the other thing is that I'm not getting stereo. The other thing I noticed also is that in order to get something decent out of it, I had to tune these guys fairly tightly. So hopefully it's nothing like what happened over here. Although I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe these are bad, like this one was bad as well. Okay, so I'm just gonna demonstrate how, even though this thing picks up stuff pretty well and tunes stations and stuff, there's still no stereo. This is a stereo indicator light. And yeah, I mean it sounds nice, but no stereo.
La escuela dicen que soy de chocolate. Texto para estrenar un Camry V6. Llévatelo con tasas desde 9.95 en comisión.
Yeah, so I mean, picks up stuff fine and it sounds really nice, but no stereo. And yeah, just the fact that this thing's overheating. Like I said, it's not super hot, but still shouldn't be getting warm. And VCC on it is fine. The only thing I can think of that's probably causing that is maybe the 19 kilohertz oscillator in there isn't working. And it's probably just stuck and something's like just constantly conducting current, and that's what's making it hot or something. The other thing I can think of is maybe just because I just eared this and tuned it that way, is maybe the pilot isn't getting into the chip properly in the first place or something, but that wouldn't really explain the overheating, I don't think. Okay, well this guy turned out to be bad. It's supposed to be 10 kilo ohms. It's open. That's the guy that does the adjusting over here at the 19 kilohertz oscillator. And put in a new one. But that didn't really solve our problem. It still overheats and still no stereo. So I was attempting the IF alignment on this radio, and I was suggested a couple of methods of doing this. The first method is when you just want to do it by ear and nothing else, and to do that you inject 10.7 AM modulated with like a tone or something, and so you inject it into the mixer stage, and first you detune the last transformer here, the secondary with the discriminator, so that it's able to detect AM, because this is meant for FM. So you detune this so it's able to pick up the 10.7 AM modulated, and then you just use your ears and peak the IF stage till you hear the best output coming out of it. And after that you just tune into a station and tune this till there's no distortion in the middle point. When you've tuned into it correctly and you get distortion, you tune out the distortion with this transformer. The second method that I was suggested was to again inject 10.7 into the mixer, but this time unmodulated, and then hook up a voltmeter to the capacitor here, which is at the output of the discriminator circuit, and then you just peak the IF till you get the most voltage out of there, and then again disconnect your signal generator and everything and tune into a strong station, and you know, sort of work out the distortion with this guy over here. But the thing is, this one here has this little tuning meter, and the way this works is that when you're tuned in correctly, it points in the middle. When it's off to the sides, it's because you're out of tune either way. So you got to get it right in the center. So I'm going to use that to my advantage in the last step here. Instead of just listening for the least distortion, I'm going to tune this till that meter is dead in the middle. The problem now, though, is that I was noticing that these two here, I had to turn all the way in, just like I was having to do with this one. And you know, this turned out to be bad, and I had to replace it. And the same thing's going on over here with these two pink ones. These other ones seem to be fine. But at one point I ended up turning this one so far in that I ended up killing it. It went open. I think I probably crushed one of its leads with it, you know, with its own slug or something. But it's open now. This one's not open, but it's still bad. And I think it's the internal capacitors in there. So I'm going to do what I did with that one TV I repaired, where I repaired the IF, and I'm going to rip out the built-in capacitor in there and tack one onto the bottom. I'm going to have to experiment with the value. This one I have to replace altogether because it went open. I don't think I can fix that. You know, the wires inside are too thin. So you can hear it because if I hook the signal generator up to before that can, it doesn't, you know, pick up anything, and I'm not getting any more radio. But if I go past it and I hook up the signal generator, you know, you can hear it. So that can went bad, and I'm gonna have to try and fix it. So we ran into a new problem, and basically here's the IF can that I took out. You can see where the little wire is hanging out of it. Let me see if I can point that out to you. It's right there. It's hanging there loose. And so that connects over to this side on this pin right here. You can see I took out the wire here. It's loose as well. But yeah, the problem is that, you know, when I push the slug all the way in, you know, this goes over that coil there, and the wires run through the bottom of the coil right there, and when you push that slug all the way in, the edge of the slug catches the little wires, and it ended up snapping one of them. So yeah, that's the old one. The problem is that the new one that I had as a replacement is the same color, but there's only one side to it. There's nothing on this side, which is the broken side on our original coil. So you can see wires run to this pin, wires run to this pin, but there's nothing here, here, or here. And those were just attached to ground. So this is like only half of what this is. And we're not going to be able to use it as a replacement. I have these other ones, but they're like in the mini size type of thing. And I'm not totally sure if these ones work anyway, because back here I see that this side right here with the two pins is also attached to ground, which is what I saw on this one. So these ones might also be the same thing, where it's just one side to them. And besides, I mean, it's a totally different footprint, and I would have to like do some creative adjusting to get it to, you know, solder it on the board over here. So I might give, you know, repairing this a try. I think what I might try is like somehow tacking a little piece of wire to the loose end here and run it over to the other side to its pin. Okay, so I managed to put that thing back in there. What I ended up doing is I tore open one of these things, one of these mini IF cans, and I harvested a bit of wire off of there. That's super thin wire. It's actually thinner than the one they use here, I think. And so I just tacked it onto the loose end from the coil, ran it through the side here, tuck it away from where it would, you know, make any contact with anything, and just solder it back onto the pin there. And it measures continuity again. So, you know, I try to tuck it in the sides down there. You won't be able to see it in this camera, but it's down there, right down here at the bottom. And hopefully it won't touch the slug or anything, won't break open again. Of course, I'm going to be very gentle with this thing now, and I gotta learn not to push the slugs too far down. So next, what I'm going to do is I'm going to rip out the capacitor, because that's kind of the original problem, and then tack a new one on the bottom of the side of the circuit board. The other thing I noticed is that down here Where is that thing? Right here. This is the FM oscillator coil. And you can see somebody's been messing with that, like they took it out and soldered it back in and tried to replace it or something. I didn't do that. This is me over here with the first IF for the AM. So somebody's been messing with this thing, and I noticed this one's also kind of unresponsive, but first I'll try and do the IF. Okay, so you can see this thing measures continuity. I hope you can hear the beep. That's the side that got open before. So everything's good. Yeah, I can't do this one-handed, but yeah, you get the idea. You can see I also ripped out the capacitor. Usually I just pinch them and they break when I do that on TVs. Same thing here. So there's a new cap tacked to the bottom. The stupid thing is though that I forgot to, before I put it in, I forgot to pay attention on which side the cap goes. So I'm just gonna have to guess or something, or go back in the video and see if I can see it, but I mean, you can try both sides. I'm pretty sure it goes on this side. I used the 120 picofarad. Usually on TVs I use like 22, 33, or 47, but you know, those are different frequencies. So there the FM radio is working again. I haven't tuned it or anything, kind of scared too. But it seems like now the sweet spot is all the way at the top. I would really hate to break this thing again. Yeah, sweet spot is like almost all the way to the top, so I'll probably have to try a different value. This one, as you can see, sweet spot's all the way in the bottom. So I'll have to take this one out and fix that one too. Okay, so 100 picofarad seems to be the magic number for these IF cans, because I tried 82 and that made me have to bury the slug too deep, and 120, the peak was like all the way out almost. So 100 picofarad seems to be a good middle point. Put some masking tape on there so make sure it doesn't short out against the ground plane or anything. I double checked on which side the capacitor goes on this can. They're both identical, and it does go on the side with the 3 pins on the 2 outer pins. Okay, so everything's set up again right now. It's working fairly decent. Everything's tuned by ear for now. If this video is too long, I'm going to leave the actual alignment with the signal generator for part 3. But I mean, right now it's tuned by ear. You can see how the cans act now. So there's a nice midpoint there. Same thing here. Same thing here. The problem is this one. This one also has the same problem. Gonna have to change a cap in there because it only sounds good if I tune it all the way in. If I pull out, it stops sounding. I have to put it all the way in for it to, sound decent. Pull out at all, it goes away. So I'm gonna have to fix that one too. I'm gonna leave it for the next video, and we'll do the alignment and stuff. Still no stereo, but we'll also try and leave that for the next video.